Hello, thanks for tuning in. So, the most popular video on my channel is about dating advice for men. So, specifically, lesser known tips, things that women wish men knew that men don't always know. Granted, that is not necessarily my expertise. I don't claim in any way to be a relationship coach or a dating expert, but people seem to like that video. It's, again, the most popular on my channel. In the last video I shared, I was talking about some takeaways, words of wisdom that Taylor Swift shared when she was interviewed on the New Heights podcast alongside her now fiance, Travis Kelce. And I didn't intend to do any more videos about that podcast in particular, but this morning I was thinking about how much I think that men can learn from Travis Kelce's courtship of Taylor Swift. And women too. I think there's just a lot that we can learn from those dynamics. And I've seen a lot of things online by experts saying, wow, here are some things we noticed. Here's what people can take away from this. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts on that, particularly geared towards men and things that all your Swifty women out there are going to be looking for, especially now because it is so public. So these are just some thoughts. The whole thing is not going to be about Travis Kelce or his relationship with Taylor Swift, but it just inspired some ideas and things that I think are worth sharing. Before we get into that, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. If you are looking for ways to improve your confidence, if you get nervous talking at parties, if you get nervous talking on dates, then I highly encourage you to check out my course, Show Up Sure, Secrets to Embody Confidence for a Lifetime. It will help relieve feelings of social anxiety. It offers practical strategies and tips and exercises to improve your confidence speaking to anyone, including the ladies that you are courting. And it is available on Udemy for less than $30 with a free 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the description. And if you're interested in a poetic pep talk to get you feeling good and powerful and strong, then that is also available in the description, and that is free. Now, I do want to give the disclaimer that this is geared towards heterosexual relationships. This is aimed at men pursuing women in a dating experience. So if you're not familiar with the story, I'm going to offer a little background based on what I know. I've never met Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce, but word on the street is Taylor Swift was dating a man, an actor named Joe Alwyn, for about 6 years. But they kept their relationship very private. And he, in particular, wanted to keep things very private, is what we're told. Travis Kelce is totally different. He's very much in the spotlight. So Travis Kelce is an NFL player, and he has a podcast called New Heights. And he went on his podcast after going to the Eras Tour, so one of Taylor Swift's concerts, and he was saying that he tried to give Taylor Swift a bracelet with his phone number on it because she is famous for having friendship bracelets at her concerts. And so he went on his podcast and specifically said, like, I'm offended she didn't want to talk to me. And word got back to her, and lo and behold, 2 years later, they're now engaged. And so what is so beautiful about the initial phases, and something that I think men would really benefit from leaning into, is his boldness and that audacity to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for it. She's a mega superstar. She's already at that point doing the Eras Tour, like super famous. And he's like, you know what? I like her and I'm going to go for it. And I'm sure there are a bajillion men who would love to be with Taylor Swift, but didn't have the courage to do that. And he actually had the courage to do that, which, as she said, when she found out about it, she thought this guy could be really crazy. But if he's not crazy, that's what I've been singing songs about my whole life and writing songs about her whole life. And I think that's what women dream of, is a man who will fearlessly go after them and court them. A lot of Taylor Swift's other songs are very much her being in love with men that maybe don't reciprocate the feeling or not as much as she does. She has a song called Mastermind, and it's all about basically her strategizing to get a man to be with her. And those relationships didn't work out for her. And I think there's a very biological reason for this. And a lot of relationship coaches are talking about this as well. And it's that men are biologically wired to pursue. And men typically will feel better if they're the one taking initiative, they're the one taking charge. This lets the woman be in her feminine, it lets the man embrace more of his masculine energy. And I'm going to talk more about masculine and feminine energies and what that means in a moment. We all have both, but in a relationship, typically relationships function best when the man is embodying more of his masculine energy and the woman is embodying more of her feminine energy. And the masculine pursues. So when there's a relationship where the woman pursues, it's not to say it can't work, but that typically means the woman has a higher percentage of masculine energy and the man has a higher percentage of feminine energy. So it will work in some cases, but the majority of men want to feel masculine and the majority of women want to feel feminine. Of course, there are exceptions, so take all of this with a grain of salt, but this video is specifically for men who want to be with women who are more in their feminine energy. And by feminine, I don't mean super girly and a lot of makeup or jewelry or whatever, but feminine energy, which is the receptive energy, letting herself be led. And again, we'll talk more about that in a moment. But the first point I want to make is to embrace. I encourage you to go for it and to be bold, because that is very attractive to a woman when she doesn't have to do the heavy lifting. And it's very clear to her that someone is interested in her. A problem with online dating and just modern dating culture is a lot of times women are taking the lead and they think, well, okay, I'm going to do it myself, or I'll make a suggestion. And maybe they don't outright ask someone out, but they're basically steering the ship. And that can make the men feel like they're not in control. So then therefore the woman at a subconscious level is less attractive to him because he's not getting the gratification and the reward internally of pursuing her and winning his prize. And the woman isn't going to feel as satisfied long term either, because she doesn't want to be taking charge. At a subconscious level, a woman who's higher in feminine energy, especially in the context of a relationship, isn't going to be comfortable long term being the person who has to drive the relationship. And so when a man is fearless and bold and pursues the woman without question, and she has no doubt in her mind that he's into her, that is a winning strategy to win someone over. Now, I will say, doesn't always work. So if you pursue a woman and she is not interested, you can be a little persistent, but don't push it too far. And by that, I mean, if you pursue her and she's not immediately interested, it doesn't mean that it's a lost cause. I've had several boyfriends who really just wore me down, basically, and they were so persistent that I eventually decided to go out with them. But it didn't work long term because something in me was like, I'm not feeling it. So that's not a guarantee. She has to like you back too. But it's a better beginning to the process to court a woman, to pursue her. Now, the woman does need to reciprocate her feelings for you to some degree, and women take longer to build their attraction. So if, for example, you've gone on a few dates and she's still going out with you, but maybe she's not as into you as you're into her, give it some time, because that attraction can grow with time. Versus I've heard that men, if they're not interested in a woman, like it's a lot less likely that they're going to grow in their attraction, versus women aren't always super attracted initially, but their attraction levels can grow with time more so than with men. Now, one of the things that Travis Kelce said that won him over with Taylor was that she started showing such an invested interest in learning about football, and she wanted to go to the games, and that was all from her wanting to support him and get to know him better. And he was like, man, when she did that, that just really won me over. Which goes to show it's not just about, and this is actually talking more towards women, it's not just about how you look or what you do or how sparkly and impressive you are, it's about how you make a person feel. And so if you're pursuing a woman and putting her on a pedestal and making her the queen, and she's not reciprocating any feelings for you, that's not likely a good situation. You need to be getting some benefit from it too. She needs to like you too. So this isn't to say that when you're pursuing the woman and you're courting her and you're showing all your interest, doesn't mean that she shouldn't be reciprocating that to some degree, but you might be a little more invested in her, especially in the beginning, and that, they say, is what keeps a healthy dynamic in a male-female relationship. So talking about the masculine and feminine energy, masculine energy is, like I said, it's all about providing, it's structure, it's giving, and feminine energy is all about receiving, and it's more flowy, it's more fluid. We all have both in us. But in the context of a relationship, what I've read is the ideal scenario is masculine energy gives, the feminine receives, transforms, and gives back. So you can think about this like the process of conception and childbirth. The masculine gives, the feminine receives, but she doesn't just receive and take it and run away. She receives, transforms, creates a life inside her body, and gives, births a baby. And so then it feeds a positive cycle. So your role as the man is not to just give so this woman can take. And that's where I think a lot of things get misconstrued in our modern dating culture, and women hear like, oh, be in my feminine, I've just got to receive. And men are maybe feeling disgruntled because they're giving and they feel like they're being used for their money or whatever it is that they're providing for the woman, and the woman's not necessarily appreciating it or giving back in some way. So it is the feminine's responsibility not to sit with what she's receiving, but to use it, to transform it creatively, and to give back. So an example of this is, I was dating someone fairly recently, and he was a mechanic, and he fixed something in my car. I needed my tires rotated, and he told me which tire shop to go to. He met me there. It's the middle of a work day. He met me there. He paid for my tires without me knowing. I didn't realize he paid for it. I did not expect that. He paid for my tires to be rotated. He told me everything I need to do and next steps for ordering the new tires and all of this. And I remember when I left, I just felt so inspired to give back to him. All I wanted to do that day was bake a pie for him. In my core, all I wanted to do was create something and give it to him. Not because it was an expectation, not because this should be transactional, oh, he did something for me, therefore I must do something for him. It was just out of my pure inspiration of wow, I feel so taken care of and so good. It's making me emotional because it was just so sweet. That I want to do something to give back to him, if for no reason other than that's just what I felt inspired to do. And I think relationships in general function best when people are operating from a place of inspiration and emotion and love, as opposed to what so many of us are stuck in these days, which is our head and thinking okay, he did this, so I'm going to do this. She did that, so I'm going to do that. And it's transactional, or I was told to do this, and we're analyzing everything, and we're not in our bodies, we're not in our hearts. And therefore, it doesn't create that positive natural cycle that relationships are meant to have. So as a man, what you can do, what I recommend, is pursue fearlessly and give, and then notice how the woman is reacting to your giving. How is she receiving it? Is she taking what you're doing and transforming it into something else? Even maybe sometimes that's just appreciation, but appreciation goes a long way. Appreciation is one of the biggest motivators for men. Men need to feel respected and appreciated. So if she's not appreciating you when you give, or if she's not expressing her appreciation in some way, like baking a pie, for example, then she might not be as interested in you as you think. And that's for you to feel out and to see. But I'm just saying, don't get yourself taken advantage of by giving because it's the masculine thing to do. You want to give, but then also let her give back to you. Now, something that can go wrong, and I've been known to do this, is sometimes women overgive, especially in the beginning, because we're told or we believe that that's nice or it'll make him like me. For example, I once dated a guy, and right off the bat, I started baking for him. I really like to bake, so that's a love language of mine, but I would bake cookies for him, and I did this before he'd earned it, really. It's not about earning. Again, this is not meant to sound transactional, but I did that before he'd really invested anything in me. And so in a way, I was kind of leading, I was giving before he had the chance to give to me. And he never really fell in love with me. He was very masculine and whatever. And he said he wanted to be with me, but I ended up breaking up with him because there was just no feeling of love there. Neither of us fell in love. And the dynamic was, I think, just off because I kind of had that leadership role from the beginning instead of letting him come to me. And that's something women need to do more of. I think is just relax and let men come to her. Going back to the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce example and the pursuing. That's why I started this whole thing with saying don't be afraid to pursue, because the relationship is much more likely to be successful if you as the man are the one pursuing and you're the one moving the relationship along. Now, women may move the relationship along at an emotional level. They say women are kind of the managers of the emotion, or the managers of the relationship from an emotional standpoint, but men should be the one deciding when you'll get engaged, when you'll move forward, when you'll go on a date, all of those things. And the woman receives it. If it's not working for her, she can communicate that, of course, but typically that's what works best. And what was interesting too, I saw a video on Instagram of some man saying essentially everything I'm saying, and he was like, men, take a page from Travis Kelce's book, pursue women the way he did. And he said something that I found really interesting. He said, don't listen to all that dating advice online that tells you to be the prize. And I was shocked. Like, are men being told to be the prize in a relationship? Are you being told to let women come to you? Because women are being told to be the prize and to let men come to them. So if that's the case, it's just not going to work. We're all going to be by ourselves because we're waiting for someone else. I hate to break it to you guys. You got to be the one to go pursue the woman because you'll be happier. Biologically, studies show men get rewarded by pursuing and earning, and women feel happier when they are pursued, and they get to decide and choose from the men who pursue her who they want. And of course, there are things women can do to attract the men that they're interested in, but ultimately, it's up to you guys to make that move. Now, beyond the courtship phase, something else that really stood out during their interview with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and a lot of relationship experts have commented on this as well, is how genuinely they hyped each other up. they weren't sarcastic to each other. They didn't put each other down. They didn't roast each other. And I mentioned that in the last dating video I did. I'm like, don't roast your lady. No one wants that. Support each other. And they were supporting each other in a very genuine way. And it was like Travis was very much encouraging Taylor Swift, calling her an athlete, saying like she's so good at what she does. And he was being totally honest, it seems anyway, with how he was sharing it. Like he truly believes that, he truly admires her and respects her. And she also spoke very positively of him. He would say, like, she'd use a big word and he's like, oh my gosh, it's so hot when you use big words. And she would just be like, you know what that means. And she didn't put him down or belittle him or make him seem stupid because he didn't know that word. She was also very encouraging and supportive of him. So that's a tip that I think we all can embrace, is just hype each other up, be supportive of each other. And I do want to point out, a lot of women have been told that they're too intimidating, or they need to tone themselves down, or they'll threaten men, they'll scare off men. But now they're being told, look, if Taylor Swift can get a guy to treat her like that, and she's like the biggest mega superstar ever, you do not need to dim your light, because there will be a man who can handle you. This is what women are being told right now, just so you know. So the expectation may rise a little bit for you guys, which is you don't have that excuse that a woman intimidates you anymore. You have to step up and say, I can handle it. And I'm not going to be intimidated by her success. Her success is my success. If you're a couple, if you're a pair, you're working together, you're helping each other grow. At least ideally, that's how I think it should feel. So I saw this one very famous celebrity love coach was saying that typically relationships work best when the man is a little more into the woman than the woman is into him. And I think that's pretty true. So a lot of the most successful relationships I see, the man is like obsessed with the woman and so in love with her. And she loves him, but maybe she's not gushing quite as much as he is. So if your lady is not as obsessed with you as you are with her, it's okay. Keep going for it. If she doesn't like you and she says, please, I don't want to go out with you anymore, you have to respect that. But if it's like, for example, Travis Kelce was a little bit more into Taylor Swift, according to this body language expert and this dating coach, Nicole Moore is her name, if you want to look her up. But she was saying that it seems like Taylor's a little more grounded. Like, she still knows she's the queen. She still knows she's Taylor Swift. And she loves and cares about Travis Kelce. They're very much mutually interested, mutually invested, mutually in love. But he might be a little more into her. And I think he knows he's got like quite a woman. And he constantly says, I'm the luckiest man in the world. And every woman wants to feel like their man feels that way. And every man wants to feel like they're the luckiest man in the world. So this goes both ways. Women need to make their man feel lucky. And I'd say don't stop until you're with a woman who really makes you feel that way. And treat her well, pursue her, and you're likely to win her over if, I mean, again, be respectful. Don't go too far. If she's not interested in you, just know that there's a woman who will be interested in you. But err on the side of being too obsessed with her. Aim higher than you think is possible, because you just never know. And if you really want a healthy dynamic, a healthy woman, then don't wait for her to come find you. Don't wait for her to steer the relationship and invite you out. That's just something that I think women have started doing, and very much we've been doing for a while now, and it doesn't work. And I think now, because Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are like all in the news, I think women are going to stop settling for less. And I think they're going to stop pursuing as much, because we have this example. And Taylor Swift, based on her songwriting and things she said, like, it seems like she's kind of pursued a lot of men in the past. Not necessarily outright pursued them, but it seemed, like I mentioned before, like she was maybe a little more into them than they were into her. And she's had a lot of heartbreak. And so I think now it's like this is beautiful example of when the man is head over heels for her, he can make the woman fall in love, and then she'll receive, transform, and give back to him, and they'll both be in love. And that's when both parties are the most satisfied. So I hope that was helpful. I'd be curious to hear what you think about this. If you have any objections, if you think like, oh my gosh, I don't want to treat a woman well or whatever. I mean, I hope you don't think that. But if you have anything that comes up that you're like, I don't agree with that, I would love to hear, especially from a male perspective. But any women watching too, feel free to chime in. And if you like this type of video, let me know, and I'm happy to do more. Though I will say, again, my expertise is not in relationships necessarily, but I do think part of my life purpose is to bring more love to the world. I think everyone's life purpose is to bring more love to the world to an extent, but to share things that help people relate and communicate and grow and develop spiritually. And so if that, that includes romantic relationships. And as a woman, there are things I just wish men knew. And so if I've got to be the one to tell you, here I am. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and have fun out there.